we're back with a second season of Story District Presents, the podcast for people who love live storytelling. I'm Amy Sedman, your host. Now, as hopefully you already know, because you've been listening to Season 1, Story District is a DC-based nonprofit dedicated to teaching and showcasing the art of storytelling. We've been around since 1997. We have dozens of live shows and classes every year, so if you live in the DC area, come say hello. Each week on the podcast, we bring you a story from one of our live shows. Then we talk to the storyteller to find out more about what it takes to tell a great story. This season, we're showcasing the 7 deadly sins, and we have the hubris, the audacity, to start our season with, that's right, pride, which for the record is defined as an excessively high opinion of oneself or one's importance. But our guest this week has reason to be proud. Joseph Price is a veteran storyteller with 3 solo shows of his own, and he's a senior member of the Story District faculty. He first performed this story at a show called Notorious, stories about fleeting moments of infamy and glory.
I arrive early and sign up for the competition. I take a seat, and around me, the warehouse theater fills up. It's 2006. And the DC Adult Spelling Bee is about to begin. You heard me. DC Adult Spelling Bee. It's like the Scripps National Spelling Bee, except people are drunker and the stakes are lower. Well, maybe the stakes are lower for other people. I have something to prove. My last B in 3rd grade, real bad. I got out in the final round on diligent, but I don't lose with dignity. I start to cry on stage. I start to bawl. Other students, they lose because they can't concentrate. I'm crying that loudly. They call me the boy who cries for 5 years until I graduate. But that was 3rd grade. I'm 23 now. I have a degree in English. I got an A in Latin. I haven't cried in like weeks. Let's do this. The keyboardist plays a jangly tune. The judges, Nick and Juhi, emerge from backstage. They explain to the audience the rules. The winner from tonight's Spelling Bee will go to the Grand Championship next month. They start welcoming up competitors. Number 13, Joseph Price. Amen. Now, the spelling begins, and one thing right off the bat that I don't like and I want to share with you is I don't like the word selection process. This is what the judges are doing. They invite a competitor up, they have a little bit of banter, and then they flip through the book, find a word that strikes them in the moment, and then they invite that speller to spell it. There's a lot of opportunity for potential bias. You know, a spelling competitor could say it was rigged, and I feel like it would be a lot better if these words were just pre-selected in advance and it was truly random. I'm seeing a couple of nods. Thank you. Somebody should write a strongly worded letter to these judges. Spelling continues. Some people get out on easy words. Rhinoceros, cantaloupe. I'm spelling all the words under my breath. I'm getting them all right so far. I feel pretty good. And then it's my turn at the microphone. Juhi welcomes me. Hey, are you the Joseph Price who emailed us about our word selection process? I may have already written a strongly worded letter, but you agreed with me. It was not great, and I'm very passionate about process. Listen, I just said that your word selection process is a little non-optimal. Nick pipes in, yo, your personality is non-optimal, bro. You're our bitch tonight. He flips through the book. Spell glaucoma, bitch. Glaucoma, Glaucoma. Glaucoma. Please, I don't need any applause for that. But Nick's a little disappointed. I take my seat back. It's round 2. A couple more spellers get out. I'm back at the microphone. Juhi's about to give me my word. Your word is heterozygote. Definition, please. An individual containing two different potential expressions of a gene, potentially resulting in varying offspring. You wouldn't know this word because you're never going to reproduce. Ignore the taunts. Channel it into the spelling. Heterozygote. Heterozygote. BOOM. I didn't really do the BOOM. I was afraid of being disqualified. But I was thinking it. Nick and Juhi scowl as I walk back off the stage. And I'm starting to feel pretty good about my spelling. I'm starting to think, maybe I can do this. Maybe I can be the man who spells. Third round, 7 contestants left. Person in front of me gets out on jicama. Shit. I didn't know how to spell jicama. I go back to the microphone. Nick gives me my word. How do you spell choke? Just kidding. That's not your word. He flips through the book. Your word is moo-moo. Shit. It's non-Latinate. Definition: a loose dress of Hawaiian origins that fits the drapes over the shoulders. I've never used the word moo-moo before. My only memory of moo-moo is that episode of The Simpsons where Homer gets so fat that he can only fit inside of a moo-moo. I try and reach back into my childhood and try and imagine how it would appear on closed captioning on my TV. It's not working. I need to go deeper. I dig inside of myself. I picture myself wearing a moo-moo. I am on a Hawaiian island. The sun is shining. The ocean smells like salt. My exposed chest hair wafts in the breeze. Moo-moo, this dress feels nice. In the distance, a bird squawks. A bird, a tropical bird. Toucan. T-O-U-can, two like moo-moo. Thanks, imagination. I exit my mind palace. Return to the spelling bee. Moo-moo. M-O-U. M-O-U. N-O. N-O. As I take my seat, Nick shouts at my back, "Yo, that spelling is non-optimal, bro." Can't believe it. I'm not going to be the man who spells. The bee continues on around me, and some dude wins on a Latinate word. After the show, I'm consoled by my friend Carmen, and she says, "Well, at least you're never going to forget how to spell moo-moo." Yeah. It's bittersweet, but I keep on going to the bee. I spell all the words under my breath. And I actually make friends with judges. We have some banter after the show. We become friends on MySpace. And then it's the grand championship. And I'm just in the audience like everyone else, but it's like every hipster in DC is here. There's even a band. And as they welcome people up to the stage, I notice there's one empty seat. One of the winners couldn't make it. And Nick and Juhi ask, "Is there anybody in the audience who wants to spell tonight?" Joseph Price, come on down. This is my chance. Please, God, let me be the man who spells. That round is a blur. I'm last. Then I go up to the mic. We meet again, I say. Former foe turned friend. Juhi explains to the audience. Nick flips through the book. Your word is moo-moo. No, you gave me this word last time. That's the word. Moo-moo. It's a loose dress of Hawaiian origin. No, I got it. I got it. Two thoughts are circling in my mind. One, this word selection process is totally rigged. This is so unfair to the other contestants. Really, it's like a freebie for me. The second thought is when my friend Carmen said that I would never forget how to spell moo-moo, she was not right. I looked it up. How do I spell? I go deep inside of myself. I picture myself wearing a moo-moo, but I am on an island and there's a dark tropical storm. I am so cold and there's a bird squawking in the distance. What does it mean? How do you spell moo-moo? How did I spell it last time? The lights burn into my retinas and everyone's waiting and I feel like I'm in third grade again. Moo-moo. M-O-U. Wrong! That spelling is wrong, Nick shouts at my back. Take a seat, dazed. For the record, we can all do it together. Moo-moo is spelled M-U-U-M-U-U. Maybe you'll never forget it, but for me, I settle down in my seat, try to adjust to the reality that I will never be the man who spells, but at least for today, I will be the man who does not cry.
I love that story.
Thanks. This particular story has a special place in my heart because I feel like that was my first taste of performance, that spelling bee way back in 2006.
How did you not remember how to spell moo-moo?
I don't know. You know, it's you get up on stage and you just forget, and it's an awkward word. And I think there's at least 3 very compelling different possible spellings of moo-moo. And at the end of the day, I rolled the dice and I happened to land on the spelling that I had done before.
Okay, I want to go back to third grade. You really did cry?
Oh, I cried so bad. It was awkward. And I think my teacher missed an opportunity to kind of look out for the other students and to not have this one kid who's just like sobbing, on these 6 chairs on stage. Yeah.
Why do you think you were so sad?
I think I was sad because I just pictured more for myself.
So what I will say is this is a fantastic example of, well, you're very good at starting stories. And so you either start right in the action or right in a scene. But what you did here is you immediately set up what was at stake. And you found a way for us to care. Because ultimately, why would we care whether you win or lose a spelling bee? But you really make us care with this little anecdote about third grade. So I'm going to guess, since I think you're pretty meticulous about how you put together a story, that you put some thought into that setup. Do you want to say more about that?
Yeah. Getting right into the action, sitting down in the theater, having the theater fill up around me. That was in all of my drafts, but it didn't actually come until the third major revision that I added the third grade moment to infuse it with some emotion and stakes. And I am rather proud of the opening to the story. I think it's doing 2 things really well. The first thing I'm doing is, as you noted, creating those emotional stakes. The second thing that I really like about that opening is the line around, like, I haven't cried in weeks.
Yeah.
Which it's doing 2 things, I think. The first one of them is letting them know that I have some okay, he's got some self-awareness attached to this moment. And then secondly, I think it's always just important to have a laugh line early in your story, letting them know it's okay to laugh and that they should expect to laugh and that I'm not going to be taking myself so seriously.
Yeah, you're very good at portraying yourself as pretty, on some level, unlikable. And somehow you get us to root for you. And I think that self-awareness piece throughout all of your stories is also just what keeps us on your side, even though you are the asshole in this story.
Asshole might be a bit strong, I think, like a tad righteous, perhaps.
Okay, that's fair.
But
that's fair.
I was looking out for everyone else. Amy.
Yes.
It wasn't just about me. It was about the process.
I'm sorry. What I meant to say is you're the hero in the story. You know, one of the reasons I'm a fan of your work is that you put a lot of thought into how you structure your stories. So can you say more about how you even start, like, to approach a story and give it shape?
When I approach a story, the first thing that draws me to it is usually one moment, one specific thing that I think everyone's really going to enjoy. I think for this particular spelling bee story, it was the stunning stupidity of not being able to spell moo twice. So whenever I first tackle a story, I try and think about, okay, well, what's drawing me to the story, and can I do justice to that? People have different styles in terms of whether they're a writer, whether they're more improvisational, or whether they're taking a more bulleted style format. I'm definitely of the writer variety, but I've been doing more work in recent years, doing some high-level mind mapping, getting everything down relating to this moment, and then taking a look at it from like a 500-foot view where I'm trying to figure out, okay, what are all the directions it could go? And then kind of identifying like, okay, this is what I think this section needs to achieve, which is kind of a very directorial approach. And then getting the words to match that and fleshing out the entire story that way.
So as a teacher, you know this, but one of the things we say in classes is show, don't tell. And people are sometimes like, I don't know what that means. So is there something from the story we all just heard that is a good example of more of a show than a tell?
Sure. I think an example that stands out to my mind is just in the cadence of the spelling, especially in that heterozygote moment.
Heterozygote.
The cadence of my spelling is also starting to reflect my confidence.
I do think you also do a great job showing with the dialogue. I mean, it's hilarious. You don't have to say they don't like you. Just by the tone of, like, what was the line where he's like, I forget what the guy says.
Your personality is not optimal, bro.
Yeah, that's so funny. And it's so perfect. And it says everything that sets up the tension in that moment without being like, so they didn't like me and I felt the tension and da-da-da-da. You just throw out a line in his voice, you let him speak for himself, and it does the job. And it's economical, and it's a great example.
So much of showing, is in terms of like these wonderful details. But I think more so it's around just letting yourself be swept up in the emotion of something and being ready to embody it. And that's hard because it's not something you can kind of communicate. And it's something that takes time. And it's honestly something that I'm not particularly good at. I'm not a natural at. And it's something that as I've told more stories, I've been trying to push myself on.
So how do you get yourself in it more?
It's something I've been personally dabbling in as I've been taking some improv classes. And I think improv is so helpful for emotional thinking, being able to embody emotions. And I would, if you are done a couple of stories and you want to push yourself and kind of being present, I think improv is a great thing to add to your mix.
That's a great tip. And it gives me a chance to give a shout out to our friends at Washington Improv Theater or Unified Scene Theater. People looking for something to do, there's a great DC scene. So you've been on the faculty for 8 years of Story District. What has that been like?
It's been great. I think in some ways it's such a gift that I have taught hundreds and hundreds of students, and I've gotten to hear their stories. I have heard stories of divorces and miscarriage and countless Peace Corps stories. I feel like I've basically been inside of the Peace Corps. So many life experiences that I personally have not gotten to experience. It's sensitized me especially to just these ideas of you don't know what someone's going through.
especially having the privilege of having people sharing with me some of the most difficult moments from their life.
Do you go through life doing stuff, but meanwhile thinking, is this a story?
Yes. I mean, how can you not? that running interior monologue. Maybe there's a story in this. Maybe there's a story in this. Maybe there's a story in this.
Before we go, I wanted to ask you, what are you listening to or following that you would recommend to our storytelling fans?
As we're recording this has been a really rough week. Anthony Bourdain passed away, and that's something that hit me very, very close to home. I used to work at his restaurant, Lael, but some years after I stopped working there, I was introduced to Kitchen Confidential in a book I loved, and I think he was a master storyteller, both his wit and verb, and also I think he was an incredibly empathetic person. And I think we could all use a little bit more Bourdain inside of our storytelling.
That's it for the first episode of Season 2. We're so glad you're listening. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with your friends, and most importantly, keep listening. To get tickets to a show, sign up for our class, pitch a story of your own, or hire our consulting team, visit storydistrict.org. This show is made possible in part with funding from the DC Commission on the Arts and Humanities. Our show is produced by Lizzie Peabody, Ronald Young Jr., Ilana Nevins, Nick Hill, Tim St. Clair, and Jackson Bierfeldt. Special thanks to our guest, Joseph Price, for proudly joining us in the studio. I'm Amy Sedman, and this is Story District Presents. We'll see you next time. Hey, we're back with a Hey, we're back with a new Hey. I'm Amy Sedman, and this is the Story District Presents. Why did I say the? One more time. I was getting all